So you're walking through an art gallery and you see the words print and serigraph. You've probably seen them a bunch of times. And you might think, same thing, right? Well, the short answer is nope, not at all. And if you're an art lover, or maybe even thinking of collecting, knowing the difference is, well, it's everything. So here's how we're going to clear all this up. First, we're going to dive into the huge world of prints in general. Then we'll zoom in on the specific art of serigraphy. After that, we'll put them side by side so you can really see the difference. And finally, we'll get into why this all matters so much if you're looking at art with a collector's eye.
All right, let's start with the one we all think we know, the print. Getting a good handle on this is going to set the stage for everything else.
Okay, so what is a print really? You should think of it as a big umbrella term. At its heart, a print is any piece of art made by transferring ink from some kind of master plate, or what's called a matrix, onto something like paper. And the absolute key idea here is reproducibility. The whole point is that you can make multiple copies, which is what makes art way more accessible to way more people.
And man, that print umbrella covers a ton of ground. You've got these really old school traditional methods, like lithography, where an artist is literally drawing on a stone with a greasy crayon, or etching, which uses acid to carve the image into metal. But then you also have super modern digital printing, which gives us things like those incredible high-fidelity GLI prints. See, it's a really broad category. Okay, now we're going to narrow our focus. We're going from that big, broad category of prints to one very specific, very hands-on technique, serigraphy. A serigraph, you probably know it as a silkscreen print, right? This is a totally different beast. It's not using a plate, it's using a stencil that's burned onto a fine mesh screen. And that process is exactly what gives serigraphs that signature look you can spot from a mile away. We're talking incredibly vibrant, punchy colors and this rich, thick texture where you can often see and even feel the layers of ink. You know, this process is a true craft. First, they create a stencil on the screen using a light-sensitive coating. Then, someone physically pushes ink through that screen with a squeegee. But here's the crazy part. If the image has, say, 5 colors, they have to repeat that entire process 5 separate times with a different screen for each color, making sure everything lines up perfectly. It is incredibly labor-intensive. All right, so we've got our 2 corners defined. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put them head-to-head and really break down what sets them apart.
Let's just run through this. When it comes to technique, print is that catch-all term for everything, while a serigraph only uses that silkscreen method. For quality and texture, a print can be anything from flat to detailed, but a serigraph is famous for that vibrant, tactile feel. Now, artist involvement. This is a big one. It can be practically zero for a digital reproduction, but with a serigraph, the artist is almost always deeply involved. And all of this leads to value. Because of all that manual work, serigraphs just tend to hold a higher value in the art market.
So we've geeked out on all the technical details, but why does any of it really matter to you? In this last section, let's look at what this all means in the real world, especially if you're thinking about buying some art. It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you're standing there looking at a piece you love, what are the things you should actually be looking for to know what you're getting? Okay, here are 3 things that apply to pretty much any print you're looking at. First, edition size. Is it 1 of 50 or 1 of 5,000? A limited run is almost always going to be more valuable. Second, artist involvement. Is it signed by the artist? Numbered? That direct touch adds so much value. And finally, and this is huge, condition. Is it pristine? Any little tear, fold, or stain can dramatically affect its worth. And all of this kind of brings us to one last big question. We live in an age where you can make a perfect digital copy of anything with a click. So what does that mean for the future of a craft like serigraphy, a process that is all about the hands-on, manual, and, beautifully human touch? It's a pretty interesting thing to think about when we consider the future of art itself. Thanks for joining me.